Our goal as voters is to be educated, We want to go into an election knowing the issues and the candidates and making informed choices. The goal of candidates is not to inform us. The goal of candidates is to get themselves elected. Those are separate goals. So we want to look at things that are used in elections that and try to determine if they actually inform us or if they're just there to get votes. Let's use the term propaganda. The term propaganda is information of a biased or misleading nature used to help or harm a nation, movement, institution, person, or group. Usually when we think of propaganda, we're looking at it from a country's point of view, trying to gain support for the country in maybe times of war. This is some World War II propaganda. And usually we study it in history classes. Let's look at a definition of, let's call it political propaganda. Information of a biased or misleading nature used to help or harm a candidate or a political party or a political organization in order to gain votes or support for a candidate or an issue. That's what we're looking at here. Does the stuff that we look at, does it help to inform us, or is it trying to sway us based on misleading information or sometimes just irrelevant information? And if it's any of those things, we're going to classify that as political propaganda. So we want to be informed voters. Where would we put these things? Now, on your note guide, you have a Venn diagram. And on it, I have informed voters on this side. And over here, it should be political propaganda. And anything that we look at, we want to put it in one spot or the other. I'm not going to write them out on this just because it's hard to write when I'm doing this on my computer. You, however, I think should. And then we'll look at which one inform voters, which ones are political propaganda. And at the end of the day, we want to pay attention to this one over here and not pay attention and just ignore this one as voters. So, the political party's platform. We've studied platforms in here, the Democratic platform, the Republican platform. They are a list of beliefs that the party stands for. And I really think that if you look at a party's platform, you're going to be more informed. So I would put the platform over here. And again, I'm not going to write these all down. I'll just do this first one. But the platform should fall on this side. If you read a party's platform, you're going to be a more informed voter than if you don't read the platform. Okay? So what else do candidates use? About books. It's been the trend now that candidates will write books if they're running for president. And I think you can learn some stuff from reading candidate books. However, it's a candidate writing the book or they have a ghostwriter, but basically they're getting the message out that you want them to hear. They want you to hear, excuse me. So I think books probably need to go maybe in here. I think we can learn some stuff from candidate books. However, we also got to take them with a grain of salt. We know that they are somewhat self-serving. All right. What about bumper stickers? Do we learn anything from a bumper sticker? And the answer is certainly no. And the same thing comes from yard signs and posters, those kind of things. We don't gain any useful information from posters or yard signs or bumper stickers. Yet they must influence votes because we see them all the time. So I think we need to put posters and bumper stickers over here because I don't think they inform us at all. Slogans, same kind of thing. Candidates put slogans out there. They'll try different slogans, but we don't learn anything. You know, if we look at some of these things, we don't learn anything about what a candidate stands for by reading their bumper sticker or looking at a slogan or looking at a poster. They don't give us any information on what the candidate believes or feels or how they will govern if they get elected. They must help get votes, but they certainly don't inform us. The debates. In the presidential election, there'll typically be 3 debates, or at least there have been recently. And the debates are usually an hour to hour and a half long. The debates, well,
Good evening from the Magnus Arena at the University of Denver in Denver, Colorado. I'm Jim Laura of the PBS NewsHour, and I welcome you to the first of the 2012 presidential debates between President Barack Obama, the Democratic nominee, and former Massachusetts Governor Mitt Romney, the Republican. Make one more point. Okay, let's answer the Texas thing for a moment, okay? Mr. President.
Well, we've had this discussion before.
Now, but the idea that in order to reduce the deficit, there has to be revenue in addition to cuts.
There has to be revenue in addition to cuts. Now, Governor Romney has ruled out revenue. He's ruled out revenue, absolutely. So, look, the revenue I get is by more people working, getting higher pay, paying more taxes. That's how we get.
if we would watch these debates, we would get informed. Granted, the candidates don't always tell us exactly what we want to hear or always talk directly to the issues, but the debates will give us some information. So if we want to be informed voters, watching these 2 to 3 debates that last, again, hour and a half, 2 hours long, are going to inform us. I think the debates all on this side. Campaign commercials, we've looked at commercials before. We know that campaign commercials don't give us any value information. Lots of times they're deceiving. Sometimes they're just plain folk ads. Either way, they're not giving us much for information. So we could put commercials over here. Newspapers, news weeklies, internet. It's hard to say internet because there's so much stuff on the internet. But I would think if we would read the paper daily, or magazines like Time or Newsweek or other things, I think we would certainly be more informed. Some people feel that they are biased one way or the other, and maybe they are, but certainly by keeping up on the newspapers, reading the news out there, I think we're going to be more informed than if we don't. And plus, they are not controlled by the candidate. Those things are, the candidates don't know what's going to be in the newspapers for sure. So I think we could put the news over here. Now this is a little bit general because there's a lot of news sources, and some are just, sometimes we watch Fox News or CNN or CNBC and we see debates on there, but they may be kind of biased. So maybe you want to put the news in the middle here. Certainly I think it informs us, but it's maybe not a perfect source because we don't know if there's biases, and certainly some newspapers and news programs are less biased than others. Merchandise is the merchandise from the last presidential election. Certainly merchandise does not give us any information. They're basically like walking billboards. So merchandise would have to go over here. Appearing on stuff like Saturday Night Live. I'm not going to show this clip, but appearing on some of these shows, any late night talk show or whatever, you might learn some information, but they're really only on those for a short amount of time, maybe 5 minutes, maybe a 10-minute interview. I think they're being used more just to get their name out there than anything else. I don't really think we learn a whole lot of information. I think they go on those types of shows to show that they are likable, but I think they also, the real reason is just to get their name out there. So I'm going to put talk shows right here, which would include Saturday Night Live, and other types of things that aren't actually talk shows, but I think I would put those there. Again, there may be some exceptions to this, but I don't think they really inform us as voters. Celebrity endorsements. Here are some endorsements of the last presidential election, and we see that if we look down this list, that the candidates, and I'm having trouble with this ink thing right now. It should work now, but it's not. We see that, these people on the left supported Barack Obama, and these people on the right supported Mitt Romney. But really, does it matter? I mean, if we look at the Osmonds Mitt Romney and Neil Patrick Harris, Barack Obama, even if we like those particular celebrities, unless we know what their political beliefs are and we know that they share the same beliefs as us, I don't know how an endorsement can really help us. So I would put endorsements over here because I really don't think they give us any real information. They're just saying, hey, I like them, so I guess you should too. Well, I don't think it's a great way to choose a candidate. Candidates' websites. We might be able to learn some information about what their policies are, but a lot of them are kind of self-serving. Here's Rick Weiland's website from this election year. And we see it's got some videos which are kind of self-serving. It's got some information there, but it's really not that much information. I would say that maybe we can learn some stuff from a candidate's website. They might have their issues on different beliefs on there. So I think I would put the candidate website here, candidate website, because they sometimes do have their beliefs on different issues. But again, that's pretty self-serving, and we know that. We're going to skip this one for now. We'll look at those later in class. Social media like Facebook and Twitter, I would avoid those when it comes to presidential elections or candidates because so many people put so much stuff on there, and so much of it is incorrect, just passed on from one to another. So I don't think you can put much stock in it. I think we would put social media over here. TV news programs, I think we did put this the same as the news. And again, I guess it depends on what kind of leaning that particular news program is. It's hard to just group it all into one. If you look at those two charts, which one's easier? Well, without a doubt, if we look at this stuff over here is easier. It's a lot easier to read a bumper sticker or a poster or you know, any of these things, watch a campaign commercial or stuff like this, watch a little 5-minute clip on an interview. It's a lot harder to sit down and read a 50, 60-page platform or watch a debate for an hour and a half or read the news on a daily basis. This stuff, the stuff that actually informs us, is harder to do. The stuff that doesn't inform us, the stuff that's on this side over here, it doesn't inform us. It doesn't give us any real useful information, but it's a lot easier. What I think we need to do as voters is really just in an election, ignore all of this stuff on this right side. This stuff over here is not informing us. And if we want to be informed voters, we got to focus on this stuff over here on the left side. Now, there may be other things that are used in the election. And I think anytime that something's being used in an election, I think you need to seriously think it through, look at it objectively and say, does this give me real accurate information? Or is this just trying to appeal to my senses and get me to vote for them? And if the answer is it's just trying to appeal to my senses, put it over here. If you think it really informs you, put it over here. And this is the stuff that you need to pay attention to try to be an informed voter. And this is the stuff that we can just ignore, throw away, not pay attention to at all. And we'll be better off in the long run. Again, which is harder? Well, certainly the stuff on the left side is harder. It's going to take more time. But that's like so much in life. The things that really matter do take a lot of time. They are more difficult.